Hello, today we will be solving this problem called collecting numbers. So we are given an array that contains each number between 1 and n exactly once. And our task is to collect the numbers from 1 to n in increasing order. On each round, we go through the array from left to right and collect as many numbers as possible. What will be the total number of rounds? So if we see here, we gotta start from 1 and keep moving to the right. So on the first round, we will only be able to take 1. And then we will be at position 2. And on the second round, we would be able to take 2 and 3. And finally, on the third round, we would take 4 and 5. That's why the answer is 3. So let's analyze that example. So if we see here, we said that on the first pass we would just take 1, on the second pass we would take 2 and 3, and on the third pass we would take 4 and 5. And if we see here, if we draw arrows between numbers, we would see something like this. From 1 we would go to 2 backwards, then we would go to 3 in the correct way, then we would go to 4 backwards, and we will get to 5 in the correct way. And we said that we required 3 passes, and here we notice that there are 2 arrows that are pointing backward. So maybe the answer is a backward arrow plus 1. Let's check out another example. Say we are having 7 elements, which are something like 7, 4, 1, 2, 5, 3, and 6. Okay, so this on the first pass we would take 1, 2, 3. Great. And then on the second pass we would take 4, 5, 6. Awesome. And finally on the third pass we would take 7. And if we draw the arrows again, so 1 to 2 valid, 2 to 3 nice, then there is a backward arrow to 4, then 4 to 5 nice, 5 to 6 nice, and then a backward edge again. So 2 backward edges, 3 rounds. Again, this seems more and more correct, and we can actually prove it. So whenever we are having a backward arrow like this means there is no way of continuing, and we will have to start again, because in order to go from 3 to 5 we would have to start again from here. That's why we have to add another round, so plus 1 to the number of rounds. But how can we count this number of backward edges? So this backward edge tells us that the position of 3 in this array, which is in this case 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, position 6 is larger than the position of 4, which is 3. So whenever the position of value I is larger than position of value I plus 1, that means that we have to increment the number of rounds by 1. And that's basically the only condition we have to account for. And to find the position of each element, we just have to go, we will declare a vector of int that we will call position of size n. And in order to make things easier, it would be a good idea to transform these values from their 1 indexed form to the 0 indexed form. So this would become something like 6 0 3 1 4 2 5, and won't change anything to the answer. And then we will start by scanning these values, and at each position, let's say that we call this array numbers. So what we do is that position of numbers of I would be equal to I. Like here at 0, here I equals 0, so numbers of I would be 6, and this would tell us to set the position of 6 to 0. And if we process this array 0 1 2 3 4 5 6, we would get the following: the position of 0 is 1, the position of 1 is 3, the position of 2 is 5, the position of 3 is 2, the position of 4 is actually 4, and the position of 5 is 6, the position of 6 is 0, as we saw. And we will start the position of 0 doesn't really matter, because wherever it is we can just start from it, and then we will go through all these values starting from 1, and we check if this position is less than this position, and if that's the case we increment our counter by 1, and the round already starts with 1, because we need at least one round to go through the numbers if they were sorted. So we go through this. Position of 2 is 5 larger than 3, so that's fine. But here position of 3 is 2, which is less than position of 2, which is 5. So here we have to add the plus 1, 4 and 2 5, 6 and 4 5, but 0 and 6 not fine, so plus another 1. That's why we end up with 3. So that's pretty much it. Let's check out how that looks like in code. So we will start by reading the input. So we will read n, which is the size of our array. We will declare two vectors. The first vector will hold our numbers, and the second vector we will hold the position of the numbers. Then we will loop through all numbers from 0 to n. We will scan the value of our number, and as we said, to make a 0 index we're gonna take away 1 from it. Then we're just gonna set the position of numbers to I. And finally we will declare the number of passes we're gonna take and initialize it with 1, because as we said, the least number of rounds required is 1. And then we will look through all the position between 1 and n. Notice here that we don't start from 0, because there is no value to compare 0 with, because there are no constraints on the first number. And then for all numbers between 1 and n minus 1, we check if their position is less than the position of the previous one. This is equivalent that there is a backward edge between the two. And in that case we increment the number of passes by 1, and to finish we just print the number of passes. So that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and submit. So that worked. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.